So after the first one-day international from Cardiff, it's time once again to Ask George. Background Noise asks, batting looks like it will be no problem for England at the World Cup, but do they have enough firepower in the bowling?
I think that's a really good question. I think I pretty much agree with you, actually. I think the batting's going to be fine whether they pick Brook or not. And the bowling, I think they've got a real issue with. I mean, they were without a couple of bowlers today who will play, Mark Wood. But I think it sort of tells you what a massive bonus having Jofra Archer in the side in 2019 was, and I just don't see a replacement. So yeah, the bowling is a worry, and I think you've got to have an attacking edge in modern ODI cricket. So that is the concern.
Tom Vickers asks, averaging 61 in ODIs this year, what else does Malan have to do for people to stop questioning his place? I've speculated that he might be one of the most disrespected players in terms of their batting form that England have had for a while.
Yes, he probably is. That's probably fair. I can see a way that he gets left out, though. I mean, the fact is that he's probably competing with Joe Root, perhaps, for number 3 spot, and he's not as an explosive a starter as Roy at his best or Bairstow. Now, people might well say, well, Roy isn't at his best, and that's a very fair thing to point out. Roy's been picked on his potential or what he was, and he was clearly a fantastic player in 2019. So they have a bit of a dilemma there, but I think that it's a dilemma based on great strength. The fact that, Sam Haines, the example I'm going to use, the fact that he's not even played an ODI at this stage shows that there's great depth in English ODI batting, and Malan is obviously a very good player and provided a reminder of that today. But he's been very unlucky with World Cups before. I mean, I think he suffered a hamstring injury in 19. Was it a hamstring injury last year in Australia? I can't remember. Yeah. But he's missed out on some big games because of injury, and he'll be absolutely desperate to play this. I think he's got a baby due any moment as well. But you would think he's going to India, and you would think he's going to play some part in the tournament.
Nicholas Bevan asks, why weren't England's players practicing their 50-over skills in August rather than playing a format that no other country plays?
No, I mean, it's obviously a tongue-in-cheek question because we all know the answer. But I actually think it's a fair question. If international cricket is the priority, maybe there should be. I mean, was Gus Atkinson playing his 3rd List A game today? Wasn't one of the reasons they've left Harry Brook out because they said he didn't have masses of 50-over experience? Well, whose fault's that? So they're prioritising the competition that doesn't make money because it makes money. I mean, look, a lot of the skills that players are learning in the 100 will be interchangeable, will be very useful. And I don't think you could deny that the standard is probably better than most domestic cricket that England players would play, short of the IPL maybe. So it's, it's not as if it's completely time wasted, but it is a very, very odd situation where England built for years for a competition that they then won and all but abandoned the formula. It's very, very strange.
Richard Anderson says, do you feel like this may be the last ever 50-over World Cup?
Well, no, it won't be. I mean, we know that there's at least 2 more in the calendar. I think the next one's played in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Namibia in 4 years, and the one after that in 2031, I'm pretty sure is scheduled for India again. So no, while it's still making money, and it will be because the advertising sells pretty well, it can go on and on, but it did feel like a long old day today. It felt pretty slow. I mean, because of the way that England play Test cricket as much as the way that T20 cricket's played, ODI cricket does seem like the poor cousin. So, absolutely right to suggest that there are doubts about its long-term future. But as I say, I think we've got at least 8 more years of World Cups after this one.
And finally, slightly off topic, James Lawler asks, there's talk about Rajasthan Royals taking over at Yorkshire. what are the implications for the domestic game in England, presumably, if that goes through?
Well, I don't think the reports are particularly accurate. I think that while there may be some suggestion that they will put some money in, it will be a lease-back option. That's what the club are looking at, as far as I understand it, which means that they're looking to borrow, say, 20, 25 million and pay it back over 10 years. So they're paying it back quite quickly. There is absolutely, I don't believe that demutualising, ending up not being a members club. I don't think that's on the table. I think there are some people at Yorkshire or connected with Yorkshire's past, who might want to derail the ongoing conversations with Fraser Group, but I suspect that's where they'll end up. But look, once they've changed what they're doing, once they've decided that they're looking at sort of sell and lease back or a mortgage option or whatever, I think it has brought more parties to the table. But I don't see that one of the options was to sort of effectively sell and become Yorkshire Royals. I think if they're going to put money in, they're going to have to do it in the same way that, say, the Fraser Group are going to, which is, fairly benevolently. They might own the ground, but they're not going to own the club. And there'll be all sorts of deals over what could happen. So it's nowhere near as simplistic as, they're just going to sell up and be the first county franchise. It's just not going to happen. I don't think. But, all sorts of odd things have happened in that story. I think there were lots of people today, I should say, confused by the Ask George address handle, Twitter handle, which is very, very different from the Ask George hashtag. So I'm very glad that none of you are asking me how to create more jobs in California. But I think the politician, I think it's a Democrat, former politician. He's retired, which is quite interesting because I thought they made retired politicians in America president. So imagine how old you have to be to retire. Anyway.